Welcome to the Pantheon Parenthetical. My name is Lance Ash, and for the past 9.5 years, I have been studying German with the intention of learning to read it. I haven't focused so much on speaking or writing. I have obtained some measure of ability in listening. I have several CDs of German books, German audiobooks, German radio plays. If it hadn't been for my study of German, I wouldn't have discovered the comedian Olaf Schubert, who I think is great. I'm currently reading his book, How I Would Save the World, for the third time. When I started out on this course of self-instruction, one of the milestones that I set for myself was to be able to read The Magic Mountain in the original. I had read it 3 times in English translation. And a couple of years ago, when I finally did read it in the original German, it didn't quite mean what I thought it was going to mean. Case in point, a couple of years ago, I read a book called Es muss nicht immer Kaviar sein, which means it can't always be caviar. And the first time I read it, I just picked it up randomly. And I was amazed at how easily I read it. I thought, well, this means that you've achieved, without knowing it, you've passed into a new level of understanding. And a couple of weeks ago, I reread it and was disappointed. Number one, that the book wasn't nearly as good as I remember, and number two, that I struggled through about 50% of it. I had no difficulty reading the recipes in the book for some reason, but I had difficulty understanding what the plot was, what was going on. I wish I had some German comics to read. I think that would be helpful. But the German comics that I've found are silly and poorly drawn. Now it's time to visit the tiny community of Fig Pitch, a handful of structures and dwellings clustered about the meeting point of 3 roads. Fig Pitch is to be found somewhere between the cover of a Windham Hill album and a Holly Hobbie lunchbox, hidden among the illustrations in the books of your childhood, a backwater bypassed by all that has grown up between you and the toy still clutched in your hand. By tacit and mutual consent, Jack and Bob have decided that their time together has come to an end for the day, and that they must each return to their respective houses. For Jack, this is an easy matter because his house is immediately next door to the store. But for Bob, however, going home entails a mile-long walk down Keller Road. If you stand on the front steps of the store, the Keller Road falls away down the hill, so that at a certain point, Bob will disappear from view. As he walks along, on the left side of the road, on his left, is the old Rodung house. This is a large plantation house, much in need of repair. Not quite as creepy as it could be because it's occupied by a young, happy little family with 2 young daughters about Jack and Bob's age. The yard is full of large, old, widely spaced trees and bordered by an ancient waist-high iron fence, once painted white, but now that paint is much chipped away and it's all rusty. On the right side of the road is a large grassy field, dotted here and there with tiny dilapidated wooden shacks, wooden huts, some of which may be inhabited. We don't know, and we don't know by whom. At least one of which is full of measuring equipment for the natural gas pipelines that are buried beneath the town. Bob is eager to get home because he thinks he will be just in time to watch an old episode of Doctor Who broadcast on the local PBS affiliate. Sometimes Jack's presence can be a little overwhelming, and he likes this time to walk by himself to sort of get his thoughts in order and reassert his own identity. Well, that is all the time that we have for this episode. Thank you very much for listening.